I believe that. Uh-oh. I believe that we are. Can you see me, Laura, on my page?
I am not seeing the live.
Okay, it says waiting for live video. Waiting.
Will I see it if you and I are not friends?
No, it's my page.
Yeah, we're not friends on Facebook, but I should still be able to see you.
Yeah, Dr. Kimberly Barrington. Dr. Kimberly Y. Barrington. Go live now. Okay, well, my mother says that we are live. She's watching me. So good afternoon. I don't see me, so I don't know how to be able to see me. I'm gonna go down here to my Zoom. Oh, there we are. I'm on my Zoom. So you guys can still see me live? Yes? Well, I'm just gonna go for it and go for what I know. Good afternoon. My name is, and I am Dr. Kimberly Barrington, yes, and welcome to Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. Today, Dave is on another assignment, so it is me. But I am so excited. I have some wonderful guests lined up for you. So our show today is, oh my goodness, the social paradigm shift. Now that we're in this COVID-19, as women, as leaders, as moms, as girlfriends and social influencers, how are we all coping and still doing the things that we like to do? So I have some special guests here. All right, I have to put my readers on so I can see down here. I'm gonna invite my guests to come on. Here we go. So we have Miss Cherie. Is she here? Yes. I have Miss Shayna. She's all the way from Baltimore, Maryland. I have Miss Cassandra Wolf. Where is she? Where's my pumpkin? I don't see her. Did she come? Is she showing? There she is. She's coming. She's coming. There she is. And I have, oh, drum roll, please. This is, come on, everybody, drum roll, my mom. Yay! Woohoo! So I got my mom today. And, oh my goodness, the wonderful Lily. Lily, where are you? There's Lily. Hey, oh my God, Lily has balloons. Okay, everybody can unmute themselves. Unmute. Let's see, there we go. Unmute. Unmute you. Unmute. Yeah, if you can, I'm unmuting you. There we go. So I am so excited to have you guys here. How is everybody?
Good.
Everybody's good?
Awesome.
Great.
Okay, did everybody bring their cup? Yes. You got your cup?
I have my cup.
Ready? And we lift it up and I salute everybody. Woo! And we are toasting, yes.
Cheers.
Yes. So I love it. We gotta take a moment. This is Vicky. She is our wonderful interpreter today. How are you today, Vicky?
Wonderful, thank you.
Love you. Yes. So I do these wonderful little things. Sometimes I don't always get the little tails in quite right for my hearing aids. So I just tell people it's a fashion statement. My grandkids are like, Nana, what's that? And so the youngest, second to the youngest one is 2. And he said, Nana, what's that? And I said, what? And he pulled it out and I said, ah! He said, ah! And he threw it across the room. And he said, it scared me. I said, it's just my So it's just interesting. So I chose all of you ladies because I love you all. I mean, there are so many women that I love, but you guys just, my heart. Shayna, I love Shayna. Shayna is a wheelchair user and she is from Baltimore, Maryland. Hi, Shayna.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Burrington. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I love Shayna. She, during this pandemic, and people, all right, I'm going to back up a little bit. As a person with several layered disabilities, we really have issue with terms and what we're called. And so when they started using this buzzword of essential, how do you think that makes that person feel who has a disability? I mean, you're already ostracized socially because of your disability, and now you're considered non-essential. That does something to your self-esteem. You know, I mean, I don't know about you ladies, because all of you are just, awesome and wonderful, but I know that it did something for me. And when I saw that Miss Shayna here is making masks
Yeah.
for other people, and she has a radio show. It's called Sunshine on Wheels. And just the topics that she is choosing are so relevant to today and even amidst this COVID-19. If you want to talk a little bit about your show, Miss Shayna.
Hello, everyone. And once again, Dr.
Hi,
Burrington,
Shayna.
thank you. Hello. Well, my show, of course, Sunshine on Wheels, is pretty much based off of me. I'm a single mom of 2 living with a disability. And I actually spoke with the lady, Miss Edwina Wilson, who owns Let Go Radio. And I was letting her know my ideas and things that I wanted to do. And so she told me that I had to get great stories, so why not go for it? So some stories that you hear, it's actually my real life issues, things that I had went through and still going through today. Also trying to uplift others that may be living with a disability or not, or have children or not. Just let them know my ins and outs of the things that I go through daily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She allowed me to be on the show.
Oh, Dr. Burton, yes.
She did a show, and I mean, who would have thought in the middle of a pandemic, it was the name of the show?
Oh, okay. Yes, the name of that topic that we were talking about, Dr. Burrington, was living with a disability while being in love.
Yeah.
I mean, although I'm not in love, but I'm quite sure we have some that are. So I wanted to get everybody's point of view, including mine.
Right.
So yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Cassandra is just, what do I want to say? Oh, Shayna, where'd you go, honey? All right. Maybe she'll come back. Miss Cassandra Wolf, she has been my shero. She has been one to really push me. She has. Would you like to tell them what you have?
Sure. Well, thank you, first of all, Kimberly, for having me on the show. I was really honored to be with all of these really tremendous women today. Really happy to get to know all of you and hear your stories. So I have cerebral palsy, and I'm also legally blind. So I've got 2 significant physical disabilities that have been with me kind of my whole life, but I haven't really let them stop me from really doing what I want to do. And so I've kind of made it my professional and personal life passion is for advocating for other people with disabilities to let the world see what we're capable of. So
what I love about Cassandra, right there, we're gonna clap, woohoo, is that she has a master's degree. She has her master's in social work, and I just, I think I dripped on my shirt there a little bit. We'll just cover it that way. Here we go. Yeah. I appreciated Cassandra because she owns who she is. I love the fact that she is the iconic 50s woman from everything from top to bottom. The way she dresses, she's a vintage dresser. She knows every shade of red that they've made since they started making makeup.
Yeah.
And she loves turquoise,
Mm-hmm.
a stone. And I felt so honored to be able to give her some turquoise jewelry. But what I love is how she has not allowed it to stop her. I think for me, acquiring a disability at 47, I now will be 54 years old. I think it was more difficult. And so you look for people who, I mean, you just don't have role models. Like, oh, I'm disabled. Oh, I need a role model. Well, where do I look around? But here it is, this young woman who was born with a disability, has a master's degree, and she has been working to help others. I mean, when I looked at her resume and I said, oh my goodness, I didn't have a disability, prior to then, and I haven't done, as much. So I do respect you, and it does push me to do better, be better. And then when she got a boyfriend, I was just, I said, what? You see what I'm saying, Shayna? She found love.
He's not my husband, so I'm keeping him.
Yeah, and she got a husband. She got married in 2018. So I was like, wait a minute now. She's just really pushing the bar up higher and higher for me to kind of, push towards. So I appreciate that. And
Thank you very much.
we're gonna go over here to Miss Lily. Hey, Lily.
Hi.
Hi, Lily.
Hey.
So if anybody can have a fan club, Lily would, I don't care where I am, what I'm doing, Lily shows up. I had to speak in Lansing. Lily brought a group to Lansing, and I appreciate that. I mean, we spoke with MIDAC, and I was on the platform with our former Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Calley. So I was just honored that Lily showed up, and she always brings a group. But Lily also, if you want to tell a little bit about your story, Lily also has a son who has a disability.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So hi everyone. I am Lily Schulting, and I am also running for state representative in District 72. And woohoo! Thank you. And I am a mom of a son with disabilities, with autism, and his name is Bill. And he actually just turned 16 recently, last week.
Yes.
So, yes, and I am a longtime community and disability advocate, and that's really why I'm running as well, is because I believe in systematic change and for people with disabilities and anyone who's vulnerable, who has less of a voice, who's marginalized. That means a lot to me in bringing that change that we need in our state.
Well, one of your big platforms is education and education reform, not just for able-bodied children, but especially for those that have disabilities. And I commend you for continuing to have to care for your son, help us within the state, and you're homeschooling him, everybody's at this point. And which leads me into my next two guests, which is my mother. Yes, she is the wonderful one who gave birth to all this. People want to know, where did I come from? Right there. There she is, right there. I feel like we're on the Brady Bunch. So there's Carol. Yes, and I'm the lovely one. I did have some curls, but no longer. And then her great girlfriend, Miss Cherie. Yes, give it up for Miss Cherie. She is also an educator. So I just thought that this would be wonderful. So the birth giver of me. Yay. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good.
Hi,
And you look
ladies.
beautiful.
It's an honor to be on here with all of you.
Miss Cherie?
Yes, I am wonderfully blessed to not only know Dr. Barrington, but to be a great friend of her mama. And that friendship has definitely blossomed a lot, probably more so over the last couple years. We've always been, I would probably say, friends, but we've definitely been able to perfect that friendship over the course of probably about a good year, 2 years, when you say, Ethel, when you
Yeah,
agree?
yeah.
And
I
Besties.
Yes. And if I can add anything else to it, I kind of feel like um, it's a season for our friendship. You know, even though we have been friends and known each other professionally and even through ministry, I feel that for this time within my life, I can greatly benefit from her friendship more now than I ever been able to. So I think it's by divine appointment and by divine order that she and I are closer now. I can appreciate her and her skills as a retired teacher to me, who is still a current teacher. And so it's great that we're able to feed ideas off of each other. And while she might say that I help her more, I think it's quite the other way around.
No, she does. I'm learning from her.
I love it. And I think with COVID-19 and moving forward, you see every single day that this is such a fluid pandemic that even by the hour, sometimes by the minute, that things change. And so we're all trying to figure out who are we going to be as women, as mothers, as teachers, as leaders, and as social influencers. What does that look like? And I love how each one of you have continued to do what it is that you do best, and you have found a way. I like what you said, that you have perfected almost a way of how to really handle it. I love, Shayna, how you are able to bring women in, and with your show, the topics that you choose and how you focus on what women are doing and how they're doing it positively. And I love, Cassandra, how if you notice, I love your haircut. So as you know, she stated that she is visually impaired, legally and severely. However, she gave herself her own haircut.
I did. I did. I got sick of it. I was tired, and I was like, you know what? It's good enough for the women in the mid 20th century. I'll hack at it too. And so I like how it turned out.
Impressive.
Thank you.
It is.
Thanks.
I needed to hear that today.
And so I thought this would be wonderful because my mother is just, yeah, I don't have any hair, but, you know, she's been working on her hair, and I think that she has the most beautiful head of hair. And I don't understand why it's just such a big deal sometimes, but to know, you just have a greater appreciation for when you were able-bodied. And I have to always tell God, you know, to forgive me, because I just took all the things that I could do for granted. I always did, until now that I'm not able to. And I remember the first time I wanted to be able to put some weave in. I don't know what I thought I was gonna put it on, but I just wanted to glue a little piece on there. And so I called my daughter, who is like the weave queen, and I said, okay, so Amber, what am I gonna need? You know, I want to go to the beauty shop, and I said, you know, beauty supply, and I'll get some stuff on, you know, do my hair. She was like, she gave me that look. Anybody who knows my daughter, them faces. She just was like, well, first of all, and this is exactly how she said, well, first of all, you're gonna need a cap, some glue, you're gonna need some scissors, choose the kind of hair and the style that you want. And the most important thing, I said, what, girl, what? 2 good hands. Mind you, it was 6 months after I had my stroke. So I was like this in my face, you know, I was like this, my hand was still way up here, you know, hadn't had all that wonderful therapy. So I was like, yeah, so I want to do my hair. And she was like, yeah. When she said you need 2 good hands, I lost it. Yeah, you can laugh at that right there. That's right there.
Didn't get it. She was supposed to do it.
That was the whole thing.
I know.
And I was like,
She
Where
never
does she
gets
get
it when
her
I'm
strong
talking about my
personality?
hair.
Absolutely.
what'd you say,
She doesn't
Lily?
get it.
I asked, where does she get her strong personality?
I don't know. Don't know it. I don't know. But I couldn't believe it. See, Shayna's hair is cute. Who did your hair, Shayna? You're on mute. Yeah, unmute yourself. Here, I got you. Okay. Who did your hair, Shayna? It won't unmute.
Okay, how about now? It's called the wig. I put it on.
Excellent.
Yes, it's the wig. I tell you, I love it.
See?
It's the wig. I put it on. That's all I got.
I'm just done.
That's all I have, Dr. Burrington. Nothing else. I can't do nothing more. Just put it on.
So, one of the things, if anybody is out there trying to figure out, I think that most people have this is now May, it's almost June. We still have another month to be on lockdown, if not longer, because I believe that our numbers have spiked again. So that's because y'all not putting on y'all face masks, okay? We just gonna stop and do a little PSA right now. If you have to go out, please be safe. And please, please put a mask on it. And it's not for everybody else, it's for you. How about that? How about we act like you have it, and then do you want to give it to somebody else? Absolutely not. Okay, just act like you're infected. We're not saying that over anybody's life, and we definitely, don't want that, but we need you to definitely put a mask on it. If you want to buck about something else, but not everybody else's health and not your health. All right. So that's our little PSA for the moment. What I really have admired about my mom and Cherie, and when they said about them perfecting their relationship, I love it. How they go out to dinner together, but separately.
Before COVID.
And I just think that is so cute. It's like, girl, you want to go out to eat? Yeah, where do we want to eat? So, they go do curbside takeout and then drop it at each other's house. And then they get on the phone and they eat and they talk together. So they're having dinner.
That's
so
great.
If anybody has been trying to figure out how do we do this, I know it really seemed sad this weekend when they were giving instructions. If you wanted to be with other people during this holiday weekend, they said only sit with your own family, only eat your own food, no food sharing, make sure everyone has a mask. And I'm like, that's not fun, if I can't interact with you. But I love how the two of you figure that out. So who wants to talk about that first? Who came up with the first idea?
Ethel, you start.
Cherie did. What's the restaurant I like?
Little Bangkok.
And I always have to ask her that. She knows I love Little Bangkok. So she called and she said, I've got something for you. And so she sits in the car and I stand on the porch and she brought me Little Bangkok.
Oh.
And it was so good.
Wow.
Wonderful.
I think one of the things that I can appreciate too about my friend Ethel is that whatever her eating issues are, she lets it be known.
I know, right? No, wait, but you have to do the faces.
Right.
No,
So
I don't know where I get it from, but she's so dramatic when she does it. It's not, oh no, I can't have that. Oh no, no. It's,
okay. So I know whatever I bring over, can I have onions in it? So I know this, and because I know this, I have to be very careful about what I bring over. I think one of the things that I really enjoy about, if I can say about this COVID, is that we have learned how to do drive-bys. right? And, and for a Black person to say, I know how to do a drive-by, woo, that could have a whole different implication. However, I know how to do a friendly drive-by.
Yes.
That would include just coming over, dropping it off, saying hi, getting back in my car, and leaving. And
sometimes I hand her a package.
Yes, yes. Sometimes it's an exchange, which makes it even better. But I think respecting the COVID right now, and it's tough to say I respect the disease. And the reason why I can clearly say that is because it's definitely presented a new normal. And the things that I took for granted before, I cannot take for granted any longer. And so just as you said, Dr. Barrington, about making sure we wear masks, and, you know, I don't need the statistics to show me that I need to do and maintain some of these things. It's just a matter of me protecting me too. And it's important for me to protect my sister girl as well. And so when I see her, or whenever we're doing things, or whenever there's an opportunity to get out, you know, I might call her and say, hey, I'm leaving. And she said, yeah, we'll come by, or whatever. But the reality is I need to make sure that I'm also looking out for her health as well. Yeah. So she's okay with me reminding her, hey, you know, before you go out, let's make sure you put a mask on. You know, there's been a time when I even showed up I was at I think it was Horrocks, and we hadn't seen each other. We hadn't seen or talked to each other. Actually, no, we had talked to each other earlier that day. And I had to go to Horrocks to pick up some things. And I texted her and said, yeah, I'm at Horrocks. Next thing before I know, here's somebody showing up incognito with the Michigan State ball cap on and a Michigan State mask. And I'm like, and it was Ethel. So needless to say, we social distance while I did my shopping, and quickly caught up on some things while we were at the store. So that was pretty funny.
So Lily, what have you done with those in your group? I know that you are extremely active in finding articles and news stories that people need to know that's happening in the moment. So how have you gotten closer or perfected maybe some of those relationships in your life?
Well, I always have my family, my disability family, everyone that I know who has a family member with disabilities, or have a disability, or is a caregiver. So that's called my disability A team. I have a closed group called Info and Resources for that. And then I also, another thing that's close to my heart is people of color and marginalized communities. And so I had started
Lily,
Speak Up GR for that.
Lily, you fall into the Black and brown category too. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially with the new COVID. And yeah, I think when the president first came out, and I mean, not to make this political, but when he started calling it the China virus, I think that's when there were a lot more stories affecting people of Asian descent. More discrimination.
We're losing your audio.
Oh, more discrimination cases and more audio. I mean, that got me. I'm looking at my laptop and I'm like, where is the audio on here? Yeah, so and with the marginalized group called Speak Up GR, it's become much more than that. We care about everyone who's disadvantaged as well, or just vulnerable. We care about the little guy, and I feel like that's when our community just came together amid this COVID-19, that everyone cared about each other and about other people. And that's really what it's about. It's about those issues of caring. And so, yeah, I think people really appreciate that. And
oh, absolutely. I was reading some of the banter, especially after the last incident that happened with the young man and the officer with his knee on his neck, but we're not going to go there right now. So Cassandra, how are you, or how have you perfected some of those relationships in your life since you've been in COVID-19?
Really good question. I don't know if I've perfected anything. I think, to be honest with you, it's still very much figuring it out day by day. Like everyone has said, this is a very new thing. None of us know. There's no playbook for how to handle a pandemic. So a lot of what I have been doing is kind of trying to find news articles or perspectives that would kind of shift my broader community to think, okay, everything is disrupted in the normal way we do things. And so church is being online now, or people are working from home more often. What does that mean? Those are things that people with disabilities have needed and wanted forever. But those accommodations have been much more difficult to come by. So I think it's been constantly about showing that awareness to say, oh, you're struggling with this thing. Here's how people with disabilities have struggled with it too. So hopefully, and I know I've read a lot of different articles that people are really upset. Like, why did it take this pandemic to get this to happen? People with disabilities kind of need this, and kind of anger about that or frustration. And I absolutely empathize with that. But at the same time, I think, okay, maybe this can be a relief. And I'm glad that it's taking a pandemic to kind of get people thinking about it in ways that, for whatever reason, they weren't. And I don't necessarily want to fault them for not thinking about it before, but I want to be a conversation partner for how they can move forward in thinking about it now.
Absolutely. That's how this started, is because I had several questions and I asked the powers that be, and just the slow response. But when it affected the able body, in 2 weeks, things that I have been going to Capitol Hill to fight, testifying in front of the legislators, in front of the senators, all of that really you did this in 2 weeks. You accommodated everybody the way that they needed to be accommodated. So it was the immediate accommodation for church, work, and everyone's personal life. And I think about the wear and tear and the taxing on my body. Even in the month of February, I had put more than 4,000 miles on my car, had been in more than 7 cities, talking about everything that's happening. And as soon as the pandemic hit, it only took 2 weeks.
I know.
Now people are still perfecting it. It probably took a good, 4 more weeks after the 2 weeks, when they realized, okay, this is not going to go away immediately. And so they made sure that everybody had what they needed to be able to work and do and be the very best that they can be. And that's the only thing. Okay. And I'm just, okay. Need a moment. I have,
okay.
It is different, in our world, everybody is classified 2 ways. Either you were born with it, or you acquired it, or you had a disability that you knew at some point would escalate to where it would really change how you have to live.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even more difficult when you are a person of color and when you are a woman.
Woman. Absolutely right, Dr. Barrington.
And I know, Shayna, you can definitely attest to this, because you didn't, you weren't born with a disability. And the fact that you had 2 children, and after the second one, you're just,
it happened.
Happened.
Yeah.
In your whole world. unless you've experienced it, there aren't enough words that are adequate to explain what you go through. And just by mere definition, as a person of color, you are considered disabled because the root word of dis, the ability not to be able to do.
Yes.
You know, as my educators over here know, that when we take the root word, the prefix of dis that you're adding to able, yeah. So a transparent moment, it does bother me. That just on March 4th, yeah, March, yeah, I did 3 things that first week of March. And I think the March 11th, when I did the real and funny side of living with a disability with Gilda's Laugh Fest, was like the last public thing that they had allowed. Because at that point, they were still saying that maybe up to 200 people. Because yeah, it was like 200 people, and we were like at 220. We had the room was overbooked. So I mean, I was glad about that. That was awesome. But that week before, I had been in Detroit, and I spoke to the leadership at Blue Cross Blue Shield. I went to their corporate headquarters and did a session with them. It was about intentional empowerment. And I promise you, you know, we had probably over 300 people that attended. And I was just like, wow, for this little old bald-headed Black girl in a wheelchair, you know, for people to listen to, you know, Miss Ethel's baby girl, it just really overwhelmed me. And then 2 days before that, I had just testified before the Senate Sub-Appropriation Committee for the Labor and Talent Division to keep $3.5 million in the budget for persons with disabilities. And so here I am telling them the reason why we need this money. We only have 15 CILs in the state of Michigan, and we have people like you, Shayna. We have people like you, like Lily, you know, your son, that want a quality of life. And trying to explain to them, you know, they're saying, why do we need to give you guys $3.5 million? What are you going to do with this money? And it's like, sir, my name is Dr. Barrington. I have a earned doctoral degree. And, you know, his mother's like, what? Yes. Now, is that the norm? No, it's not. But is it achievable? Yes, it is.
Yes.
You know, it's achievable. Miss Cherie, I'm sure you have some students that you look at and you think that people might discount them. My mother, I think that's probably where I get that passion from. I remember her first teaching assignment was at Campaw Park School. It sat in the middle of the projects, the Campaw projects. And my mother went in there, and these kids that people at 5 years old, she started with kindergarten. At 5 years old, these kids had no hope of ever being anything or doing anything. Wow. And again, by definition, disabled, the ability not to be able to do, whether that's economically, educationally. Where you live is not just about the physical or the emotional. It's a holistic, you know, approach. And to see her go in, and I look at so many of her students now, I mean, they're all grown with kids, some have grandkids, and they have all gone to do some amazing things in life. And that's why I go to Congress. That's why I go and I testify, because it's not just about this physical body. And as we're seeing in the news, you know, the pandemic only broadened and opened the light to what was really happening already that we use other stuff to filibuster to cover it up, but it's still happening. And now everybody's at home to really see it for what it is. And I tell you, Shayna, you wanna weigh in? You wanna say something? You've been kind of
You
quiet.
know, well, Dr. Burrington, you are absolutely right. For me, I actually ran for Miss Wheelchair Maryland in 2019, and my main focus was to be able to get people that's living with disabilities jobs where they could do from at home. And I call around, I'm calling the Amazons, I'm calling all of these places, that offers customer service, Whirlpool. I'm calling them because if you all could do it for those that's in college, because I did experience it with Whirlpool Corporation, doing it for those that were in college, why can't you do it for us that's living with a disability that at home? We can't get out. We may not have the bus routes and the mobility services. Why can't you give us a little bit of independency by giving us something that we could do from at home? And you know what, Dr. Burrington? No luck. No one reached out. And we're trying to find ways so that we can become independent, but you're not allowing us to do so. So that puts a big damper on my parade.
Right. Cassandra, you work at MRS and you help persons to find jobs and help them with their resumes.
Yes. Yeah. So I do, yeah, I'm a vocational rehabilitation counselor for MRS and do a lot of preparing people for employment and really helping them discover their skills. And the very first thing that I said to a fellow counselor when all of this came down, I said, wow, telework is suddenly on the table for everybody. Do you know how many people I could find employment for if telework would have been on the table from the get-go? It's pretty interesting that we're changing, and I sincerely hope that we decide collectively as a society that we're not going to go back to the way things were, that we won't forget that it's possible to have these kind of measures for work, and that it will allow people to work very safely from their homes and still do good work and not have to have their disabilities be a concern because they're working in an environment that they know well. For myself, one thing that I noticed, we started working from home pretty early, late March, and I asked my husband to kind of I asked him, what do you notice about me that's different than when I have to take the GO bus to get to work every day, where I'm spending, at least 4 hours in transportation? What do you notice about my affect and my demeanor when I'm working from home? And he said, well, you're much happier, you're exhausted, and I'm not hearing you complain of how the CP is really affecting your mobility when you're just working from home because you're just in one space. And for myself, I noticed this relief of attention that maybe I didn't even know that I lived in, or at least the extremeness of it, of as a working woman, working full-time with significant physical challenges that don't allow me to drive to get to my appointments, and that cause fatigue and pain because of the CP. I didn't realize how much I was pushing through those things to be quote unquote normal, to work, a 9-to-5 job. And yet I didn't have that at home and I could still do my job. And I realized that tension was gone. And I thought, well, why did I have to live in that tension to begin with? And what was it that told me that I had to constantly choose either work and be a great worker or attend to the needs of your body? Why did that have to be something that was even a forced choice? That I think COVID-19 is saying people shouldn't have to make those choices, and we can make it easier for them so that they can both care for their body and whatever life circumstances are happening, and be the workers that they want to be and that society should want them to be. So that's,
I mean, that was, I think for me, that was major. That the first 3 weeks I probably spent in bed. One, because I have dystonia so badly, and they were going to put in a baclofen pump to help with that. And so as soon as, we were going to be scheduled for it, they were like, okay, we can't do it because we're not going to do any surgeries. We don't want to. I would have had to go to Ann Arbor for it. And I mean, we're talking about, this was like the end of March. And so they said, what we're going to do is give you this we're going to give you in the pill form, but it's going to be at the max. So those first 3 weeks of my body adjusting to the medication was just like, oh, yeah. And not having to, be in and out. Is this facility, wheelchair accessible? Who's going to assist me to get in? Getting my wheelchair out of the car. How far do I have to wheel from the parking lot, to the venue? All of those things were just like, ugh. And you're right. I didn't think about it. It was just something I had to do. I had to push through that. But to know now I can be at home and schedule the Zoom meetings that, okay, I'm not in my chair too long. And my husband loves it because he can micromanage. And he'll say, y'all, that Zoom place, yeah, y'all can Zoom on back home. They can Zoom till they cut it off. It's so cute. He said, no more Zooming today, okay? No Zooming. And I was like, he said, nope, you need to rest. You spent way too many hours, in the chair. So it is nice that I can schedule things out. I mean, there was a point where I was gone 5 days a week, in 4 or 5 different cities, throughout that week. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
I was a Go Bus user as well, but even driving, well, that gets to be a bit taxing. So it was nice that I was filling my tank up 2, sometimes 3 times a week, and I have to use premium. So premium was never lower than $3.50 a gallon. And so when I filled my car up on March 9th, I did not have to fill it back up again until May 13th, and the gas was only $2.52.
Hello.
So I was excited about that.
Nice.
So Lily, as someone who is running for state representative, you have heard some of our concerns. What do you propose to do about them?
I think what we need is a lot more disability services, and that whether it's there's children with disabilities, they're going to become adults very soon. I don't think there's enough disability services. We've seen community mental health struggle in West Michigan. We've seen it struggle in the state, and that disability services come through the community mental health. So there's a huge problem. And what we want is every adult, every person with disabilities to have the best future that they can have and the best quality of life, and to be as independent and fulfilled as possible. So, that's going to mean many things, but it starts with the disability services. It starts with aids, if they need that, and therapy. Those things need to be in place. And then eventually, I do foresee that we need to also care about jobs and housing for adults with disabilities down the line.
Ms. Cherie, as a current educator, do you have students with disabilities, or are they separated, or are they mainstreamed in Granville Public Schools?
Well, it depends on the type of disability and if the disability has been identified. We definitely have some students who have some learning disabilities, and depending on the nature of them and depending on how they're able to assimilate to the culture, that determines where they're placed. Some students are kind of, I hate to use the word, filtered into a traditional classroom with the traditional students. Some students require a little bit more remediation. And so they may be in a classroom with other students who have similar learning disabilities or needs. And then we do have some other students who have some, what we would consider a little bit more severe disabilities and have to be accommodated in other ways. And so that being said, you know, we do have some students that are going through the hallways with wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs. We have some students who are visually impaired. And we even have, and this is something new, we even have students who, because of anxiety and mental health issues, are walking around with the dog, with their pet, because of needing a companion or a support system right there with them. And so, of course, it took some getting used to recognize, wait a minute, there's a dog going down the hallway. What's up with that? But of course, you know, it's a matter of respect. It's a matter of recognizing that, you know, all of the students that come to any school come with their own particular set of needs, concerns, and accommodations. So as a teacher, my job is, first of all, my job is to teach them, right? And because I teach English, my job is to teach them English. But whatever I need to do to help them be able to learn, because I care about them, I'm going to work with those needs in order to help them be a little bit more comfortable within my classroom. And so, you know, times have definitely changed. And unfortunately, so have the kids, and so have the parents' expectations. And so that being said, it looks different, but, you know, we definitely have to respect those needs as well as the accommodations.
I appreciate that. Miss Ethel, I would say you have more than 30, maybe 40 years now of teaching experience.
A little bit.
Yeah. So initially, students with disabilities, were they separated or were they in
Initially,
mainstream?
they were separated.
Initially. Really?
When I started teaching a couple years ago.
I'm only 12.
Okay.
They were separated. But at that time, I always said that there were some kids who were identified and some kids who were not identified. And it was my responsibility to teach the student. And I mean, I'm the teacher. And I mean, when we started mainstreaming, it was my responsibility to find out how to meet their needs. And then
I think what I appreciated about you was you found, whether or not there was a disability, children learn differently.
Yep. Yes.
And what I've always appreciated about you is you take a look at your classroom and you find a way that somewhere in the middle of the road where it works for everybody, and then you cater to those who might need it a different way. And maybe not even every single day. Maybe today we're gonna learn math the way Johnny needs to learn math, and everybody's gonna learn it that way today. And then tomorrow we may learn math how Susie needs to learn math. And I think that way, this is just my observation, and it's amazing the things that I remember and can recall with great clarity as I've gone through this process of helping others who have disabilities, to help them to be mainstream, figure out what works well for them, and how can I best assist them when they come to me in my business. And I just remember how every day you had to figure out a different way to teach, and you watch to see how many kids learn the best based on this teaching method. And you found out that, you know, I've learned that when you do it for the group that is most discounted, it benefits everybody.
Well, really, in a well-balanced classroom, you teach to all learning modalities. I mean, if you're presenting a lesson, I mean, I wouldn't present a lesson just for one learning modality. Whatever my objective is, I'm going to present it in a way for my right brain learner, my left brain learner, you know, my kinesthetic learner. I mean, you just learn to do that, and not just, you teach to the whole child. And there are different ways that people learn. And when you plan a lesson, you have to plan for everybody.
I like that.
So, I mean, I don't think that I ever thought, or even now, about a child having a disability.
Mhm.
I think about the way people learn. And then you teach the way people learn.
I think that is wonderful and especially great news for all the students in the mainstream classroom. And I think there will be some students with with disabilities or an IP, and the IP is special education or 504. And sometimes their accommodations will also allow an additional aid if their needs are a little stronger or a little bit more, and that they need an aid in the classroom. And then I also want to mention that there are more children diagnosed with disabilities now, and especially autism, than ever before. So we want to keep that in mind, and they fall along a whole spectrum. Um, you know, we want students who are able to be mainstream to be mainstream, but we also have to recognize that there are students who have more severe special needs, and they are not mainstream. They have their own special education schools. Currently, I mean, Lincoln is probably the most famous of them in our greater Grand Rapids or Kent County area. And there's 9 to 11 special education schools. They're called center-based, but you know, they're for students that have more severe disabilities, like my son, for instance, who is 16 and not verbal. So, but you know, that's a different area and a different class and a different school.
Ladies, can you believe it? We went over time. Oh my gosh, it is now 5:05. We had such a great time. Oh, we gotta raise our glasses. Clink, clink, clink. Everybody got your beverage of choice. There we go. Boom. Yes. Boom. Thank you for being a friend. Yes. So yeah, there it is. I did my little 2 notes. So thank you, ladies, for coming and spending time. And wow, I got so much out of this. I don't know about you guys, but I want to tell you thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. Shayna, all the way from Baltimore, Maryland. So we're changing some things, isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for having me on, Dr. Burns.
Dana, it was so nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Miss Ethel.
I mean, I just think technology is amazing. When she said you were from Baltimore, I thought, oh my goodness.
And what I love about Shayna does live independently with her children in an apartment. However, her mother lives across the hall. So she comes over and does assist. So she's been in and out. She had to have her treatment this week. Okay, she's coming. Oh, maybe she's not coming back. She had to have a treatment done this week. So she was getting it done while we were doing our Zoom conference here. So I think that is so awesome. And I appreciate you, Cassandra, for coming. And you didn't have to catch the GO bus to get here.
That's great. Walk down the hall.
And
Well,
your haircut is fabulous.
Oh, thank you. It was so good to meet all of you and hear your stories and your perspectives. I learned a lot today, and this was really wonderful. So, Kimberly, thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody have any final things that they would like to say?
I just want to say congratulations, Dr. Barrington, on your platform and how you are providing many people with an understanding about disabilities and people with disabilities, and how that we can be better supportive of them, and even just more aware. So praise God for you, and I'm very proud of you. And you could just sit in your on your cushy couch and just take care of you, but instead you take this opportunity to make sure that our world is better educated with people with disabilities. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for including me and inviting me, thinking that I might have a little bit of something to say. And I'm very thankful for the fact that you are a product of Ethel Carter. So that is something to be celebrated in itself.
It is. It is. So to all of our viewers out there, so I hope you guys know that we are averaging. So this was my thing. I hated math. My mother just, I learned math when you learned it on an abacus. Okay.
Wait
So
a minute.
like
I wasn't here then. I don't know where you were.
I learned math with an abacus. We didn't have calculators. We didn't, the big T9s and the T47s and just all the things that I had to buy for my children when they were learning math. And so I always wanted to know, what is the practical application of this? And so now I know. And so the practical application, this is our first season, woohoo, because we're going to continue on. We are on 2 days a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to about 4:45 or so. And this group, we've gone over past 5 o'clock, which is, not too bad. But we started just a tad bit late. Of course, technology has never been our friend around here when it comes to this show. But God is blessing, and we keep moving. And we are averaging about 500 viewers per show. So I am just beyond blessed, beyond excited, because a friend of mine, hey Teddy Parsons, he is another one who's out there on the battlefield with us, trying to make sure that employers understand what it's like to hire persons with disabilities, and how to write policies and procedures to include us. And I definitely love and appreciate him. And he said to me, and it reminded me of my mom, about a week ago, I saw a post of his on LinkedIn, and it says, keep your eyes on your own paper. Don't look at what everybody else is doing. Look at what you're supposed to be doing and what God has called you to, and you'll be just fine. And so I really had to take that to heart. And yeah, I started looking at my own paper, and I said, God, what would you have me to do? People are just so inundated right now with so much social media itself. If you just gave me 200 people, I said, I'd be fine, and here it is. He more than doubled that number on our show. And this is only number 7. So I'm excited to see what the numbers will be. And I will definitely let you guys know. So with that, final closing words. Thank you so much for being on the road, rolling on the road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. Of course, Dave is on another assignment today. So today I had all of these wonderful ladies. We look like the Brady Bunch on here. Woo! I'm the youngest one in curls. So yes, I'll be Cindy today. But thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is Dr. Kimberly Barrington, and our other host is Dave Bukowski, who is the Executive Director of Disability Advocates of Kent County. And I am the founder and CEO of 100 Shades of Disability, L3C. So until next time, be blessed, be safe, and know that you are essential. Put a mask on it if you have to go out. Love you guys.
Bye.